My name is Joe Gonzales. I'm from ISS. I'm actually based out of the Chicago office. I've been with ISS for 13 years.
In case you need it, in case we get it.
It's easy to remember because my son was born when I started with the firm. So ISS, as you probably know, is the largest proxy voting research firm in the world. We've been voting proxies with research for over 30 years. And many clients come to us just the way Sam did. So initially they'll try and vote these ballots, these proxy ballots themselves, but over time they'll get a large volume, they'll start investing in many, many companies, and the process becomes overwhelming. And it's a very time-consuming process to vote these proxies during proxy season. So for those of you who don't know, proxy season is primarily between January and June, the heaviest months being April, May, and June. So to spend all your time voting proxies can be time-consuming when you have other roles to perform. So why ISS? So Sam reached out to us in 2014. He was voting hundreds of proxies and thousands of ballots. He's like, what do I do? Can you help me? So he's like, I have Catholic value guidelines that I want you to implement. Can you help me? And we said, absolutely. So ISS, as you probably know, is best known for its benchmark research. We produce benchmark research which is designed to vote in the best economic interests of shareholders for about 40,000 meetings globally. So we've been doing that for 30 years. We have a large research team of 165 full-time research analysts. They're based all over the world. In the US, our research team is based in Rockville, Maryland, and that's where our head of custom research is based out of as well. So when Sam came to me, he sent us some guidelines. I sent them to the head of our custom research team. We looked through them and we said, we have an off-the-shelf policy that votes in line with the USCCB guidelines, and we think we can help you vote these proxies in a very cost-effective manner. So we looked at this policy. We arranged a conference call with our research team in Rockville. We walked through the guidelines, kind of step by step, just to make sure that our understanding was in line with his expectations. Then once that was agreed upon, we said, okay, we're going to vote your guidelines for you and provide research that matches those guidelines. So the onboarding process is pretty straightforward. What happens is that we provided him with a letter of authorization. He sent those letters on to his custodians, and then those ballots were sent to the ISS portal. So we provide you with a very simple to use portal to receive all your ballots. That portal delivers all your ballots, and for each ballot there's typically a research report. And that research report is in line with your guidelines. So that's sent to you electronically. You can review that and you can choose to vote them one by one, or you can create automation and have the research voted automatically on your behalf. But you still control the vote. So you can review every research report, you can make sure it's in line with your guidelines, and you can hit submit. Or you can release them automatically. It's really up to you. You can be as involved in the process as you want to be, or as hands-off as you want to be. It's really up to you. On each research report, we provide you the name of the analyst who wrote that report. So if there's any questions about the guidelines, you can reach out to the analyst just to clarify if there's any misunderstandings or get some background information on that recommendation. That's not a problem. We also provide you, in addition to the portal and the research person, we also provide you with an outsourced account management team. And they're really designed to be an extension of your team. So rather than you being experts in all this information, you can reach out to an account manager. They'll get you in touch with the expert, or they can just clarify any operational questions you have around voting a particular proxy. So they'll make sure that all your ballots are received in a timely manner and are executed in a timely manner. On the back end, as you can imagine, we're voting millions and millions of ballots. So we have to have a really robust team an operational staff to ingest millions of ballots from hundreds of custodians on a daily basis. So our team is based in Norman, Oklahoma. We have about 120 people there on the operational side who work with all these custodians globally to ingest these ballots and make sure there's automation. to process them electronically. We also have operational teams in Brussels, in London, and in Manila. So we're basically working around the clock to process these ballots. We also have research teams around the world as well. So clients came to us about 10 years ago and said, listen, it's great that you guys have this research, but we want local expertise. And so we basically made sure that we had operational centers in Paris, in London, in Brussels, in Sydney, in Japan. So we're boots on the ground. So when people are looking to understand what's changing or evolving in marketplaces, we had local experts. So when Japan adopted its stewardship code a few years ago, one of the panelists on that code was the head of our research team in Japan. So we were able to kind of walk them through all the policy intricacies, what's doable, what's not doable, to implement a policy. So the policies are not simple, as you can imagine. The ISS benchmark policy is over 300 pages long. It's designed to really encompass every possible iteration there could be on a ballot. When clients come to us, they may come to us with a 3 or 4 page policy statement. We'll look at that statement and we'll try and figure out how to best implement that. So our research team will take a 4 or 5 page guideline and then create an implementation document and walk you through that to show how that matches. And then once you're in agreement, then we'll go ahead and vote that. But it's our job and our expertise is really to help you understand the nuances of voting those ballots and making sure it's done in in line with your philosophy. The thing to remember, though, is that you control the vote. We do not control the vote. We provide you with research and data to make an informed decision. You choose the guideline, and then you control the vote. So I just wanted to clarify that some people think that ISS is voting. We are your automation tool. We provide the research and the data, and our goal is really to make sure that you control that vote. Does that make sense? So the expertise around the world, one of the things we also do as a client is provide you with education. So we provide a weekly newsletter to all of our clients to help them understand the issues. We do a preseason report of all markets to help you understand if there's any nuances or anything new changing around the world. During season, we'll produce a weekly report that shows you all the key meetings that are coming up that are of note, whether there's certain agenda items that are on that for that meeting that are kind of unique. So there's a unique meeting around the separation of the CEO and chair for a particular company. We'll note that. If there's a diversity issue coming up, we'll note that. Our goal is to provide you with information to help you be aware of these meetings well in advance, because we're going to deliver the research to you about 2 weeks in advance of the meeting cutoff date. And so you have plenty of time to review the research, to make an informed decision. If you have any questions about that report, you have plenty of time to reach out to your account manager, the research analyst, to make sure that you're providing the best possible decision you can for that particular meeting. On the security side, we're ingesting a lot of information, and people want to make sure they're working with a vendor who has the operational controls to secure all this information. So you're sending us holdings on a monthly or weekly basis. We have a lot of controls, security controls, to make sure that information is kept private and confidential. So if you ever want to come to the Norman office or the Rockville office, we can walk you through a full due diligence day and explain all the controls and procedures that we have around proxy voting services, around research services, so you're comfortable with our controls and procedures. Because there's a robust control process for everything that we do. There's controls around the ballot process, around the way we receive a ballot and process a ballot. There's controls around how we conduct research and produce research. So when we produce a research report, it's initially produced by a junior analyst, it's reviewed by a senior analyst, and then it's released for publication. If there's any issues with that research, it'll go to a committee to review, and then they'll review it at the committee level, and then it gets released. One of the unique things that ISS does when we produce research is that we engage with issuers. So we're not just creating this research in a black box. We produce that research, we send it to the issuer, and we give them 2 weeks to review it. And if they can review that research, and if they don't reply, we'll go ahead and actually publish the research as is. If they do provide us new information, and that information is made public, then we will update the research. So if they just tell us something without producing AK or something, we will not change the research, but we may add an alert to the research to make aware there's new information is available. So on the research side, it's a very robust process that's constantly evolving. We're constantly improving the interface as well to make it as simple as possible. One of the things that we do is we have 2 or 3 releases to the interface based on client demand, and we do that typically during the off season. So now between in the 3rd quarter, we'll make multiple changes in advance of the January release. So the research is very thorough and robust. We have a large research team. The operational side, we have a large scale to develop millions of ballots. The security side, and probably the most important thing that separates us from the competition is our account management team. I think Sam can speak to. We have a very good team in Norman who supports him on a daily basis. Any questions that come up around a ballot or around a meeting, universal ballots, split ballots, those can be complicated. And rather than spend a lot of time figuring that out, he can pick up the phone, call his account manager, Stephanie Norman, and she'll walk him through the process or explain any nuances around that particular meeting. So the resources that we have and the automation that we have kind of make us unique, and we continue to evolve that. And also, we source our own E&S data. So when you're looking at Catholic values or any of the faith-based policies, you need a source of data, and we're our own source. So it's very easy for us, if there's any issues around tobacco thresholds, we actually collect that data ourselves. So that data will flow into our reports automatically. Any controversies that come up in those companies, those are also noted on those reports. And all that data flows from our ESG team to the reports. And we also collect all the compensation data and director data ourselves as well. So all that data flows into our research, and it's nice to have a research report that is consistent with the screening that Sam's doing. So when he looks back at the screen tool, or the screen data that we provide to him, he can see that the thresholds that on the proxy reports are in sync with the screen data we provide him as well. So it's really to be a one-stop solution to help you get all your ESG data, vote those proxy guidelines in line with your principles, and have a research report that's delivered to you in a timely, informative manner. Okay.
Well, I was going to give just a quick kind of how we use ISS
sure.
and the structure. We have a couple of slides here. I don't know how you... Generally, the way that... So when you vote proxies, it's considered a type of advocacy. And the advocacy concept is best by kind of by using kind of map pencils. So one map pencil breaks real easy. Put a bunch of them together, not so easy. And that's how advocacy works. So a lot of times it'll be a group kind of banding together. One of the things we heard earlier is, does it even matter? Is there enough ownership? Well, this is just, of course, Berkshire Hathaway is but Berkshire Hathaway owns more than 9% of Coca-Cola. So if they wanted something done at Coca-Cola, they might have some influence. Just think, 25% of the population is Catholic. And the numbers of monies that is a bunch. If that was all together on a single kind of even sort of close focus, what could be done? Same thing, same document. I thought I would kind of share with you this story that kind of falls into advocacy. 1 minute. Recently, so Netflix passes a screening, so it passes. But recently they had a show that they had in their original content, Michelle Wolf show, it was a Sunday show. It's called The Salute to Abortion. And it kind of culminated with her cheering, God bless abortion, God bless America, really low-class deal. So we own Netflix, we have clients that own Netflix, we vote their proxies, we vote it through ISS. So we sent a letter to them, to kind of the president, the CEO and founder, and the chief talent officer. And we said, hey, this show is classless, and this is what we want. And what we want is for the show to be removed And until that happens, we're going to use our technology to vote against every shareholder resolution that you have. So we're going to make a statement, right? So in the end of the day, other people joined in. We were not the only one. But the investor relations person was let go, and the show was canceled, and now they're reworking the show. Now, it's interesting. There was a USA article that said, was this because of all of this advocacy? And they really didn't answer that, but they said the show was very popular. So I think the advocacy works. So that's the kind of thing that we want. Real quick, because this is how we kind of go with ISS, and I want to make this point. We used to get our proxies mailed to our office, actually to a post office box, a big one. And the post office threatened to cancel our post office box. They said, this is great. I mean, one day I showed up and there were 6 mail bins and a sign that said, go to the back, and there were these 6 giant mail bins of proxies. And so the best, I think ISS does a lot of great things. But for me, what they really help me do is they get all that mail.
Yeah.
And they do things with it to make it to where I can vote it. But also, any client that has an institutional account with them automatically can turn on our proxy voting, and it's very easy to use them in your implementation.